Coach Tony.
Hey, welcome back, folks. You're listening to Hey Coach Tony on Cumulus Radio. I'm Tony Fiorino, and I am joined this week by Barry Mano, who is the president of the National Association of Sports Officials and the president and editor-in-chief of Referee Magazine. And we're having a blast this morning talking about all the stuff that, let's face it, that nobody else talks about. Barry, there was one other thing that's on my mind that I really want to make sure I address before we get out of here, and that is this. There's a new trend developing. As you may know, former NFL VP of officiating, Mike Pereira, was hired by Fox as what they're calling a rules analyst. What's the general consensus within the referee and the official community about things like instant replay, and specifically a guy like Mike Pereira, who is seemingly in a position to start picking apart what the officials are doing? That's got to have some impact on the ego of these guys, right?
Well, good question. First of all, those of us in officiating are much in favor. We embrace the use of technology to help us get the play right. So we like instant replay. Certainly it's been refined at the NFL level, and so it becomes a tool. That you raise the thing with Mike Pereira going to Fox. Now, you know, it was scheduled that he would leave the NFL as the director of officiating, and so he needed to do something else with his life. Mike's very good on camera, very knowledgeable, former on-field official. So Fox wisely hires him. We're mightily interested in that intersection. It's the first time, really, that you now see sports officiating and the media, sports media, intersecting that way. So we've been following this. Mike's a very good friend of ours, very close to him. We talk every single week and communicate every single week throughout the football season. So that's sort of his context. By and large, I think Mike adds to the body of knowledge when it comes to the rules and helping people understand what they're seeing on their television. A bit problematic could be if they put Mike in this position of having to guess, to predict what the men are going to do once they come out of the replay booth. Mm-hmm. That's a dangerous game. Now, I know it's good theater, and I know Fox is built on good theater. I understand that's their unique selling proposition. But Mike is doing a fine job. He's got to be careful of going in and predicting and saying certain things that the officials will do. They will overturn this. And then in the one case, Terry McAulay comes out and he doesn't overturn it. Mm-hmm. So the viewers are left wondering, well, what's up? It turns out that Terry McAulay was correct in that case and Mike was wrong. I'm not sure what good is served other than the theater aspect of it, mm-hmm. To have Mike do that. But by and large, I think it's just fine. And whether I think it's fine or not, by the way, it is going to happen. The other professional leagues are now looking into that because the thing with NFL and Mike has become very successful. Mike was named the Sports Media Personality of the Year this year, which is pretty incredible in his first year. So it tells you that the Fox people like it and the viewers of Fox like what they're seeing and hearing. I think you're going to see it in the other pro leagues in some form.
And I think that should be welcomed by all. And I do think, by the way, you may have alluded to it, I think the Fox guys are going to start baiting Mike to push. Well,
that's how
opinions.
It is. You know, we sort of knew that going in. Mike talked to us in a private meeting before he actually took the job. There were 16 of us in the room, the heads of officials for the NHL and the NBA and baseball, and all of us get together twice a year just to talk behind closed doors, and Mike was there for that meeting. And he brought it up, and we vetted it. And, you know, somebody in the room said, you know, Fox is built on controversy. So Mike understands that. He's a very bright guy. Challenging position, but I think it adds to the body of knowledge. I think it's good that sports fans understand the complexity of the rules, the nuances of what we need to do as sports officials. At the end of the day, we're all better served for that.
You know what? This whole idea of you know, the scrutiny of the officials and the scrutiny of the calls based on technology leads me to ask this. Do you think that there's going to be some kind of an altering of the way officials are trained based on things like, is it a fumble or not? And my brothers are actually down in Florida right now listening online, and I'm sure they're screaming at the radio right now. What about that call with Ben Roethlisberger when they played against the Dolphins? I'm a Steelers guy. They're a Dolphins guys.
It turns out that Gene Steratore and that crew got that play right. The only thing that was incorrect was that they whistled a touchdown a bit prematurely. I understand how it happened, but it turns out that Ben fumbled the ball. by rule, since replay could not definitively say something about the fumble recovery, they had to put the ball back where they did, and they had to give it to the Steelers. What was done was exactly right. You need to tell your brothers. What was done was correct.
Hey, I'm a Steelers guy. I agree. But they're going to say that because the play was whistled a touchdown, and I'm saying this because they scream it at me all the time. Because the play was whistled a touchdown already, it affected the way the players would have gone after that fumble.
Well,
and that's a decent
the whole point. So this is the Ed Hockley rule. Thank you. That is the whole point. So it had to be very clear. There had to be a non-competitive recovery of the fumble. That was not the case. It was a scrum. In that exact situation, they had to do what they did. They went by the rule book, and they put it back, and they gave it to the Steelers. That was exactly the thing they had to do by rule.
By rule. I get it. But again, do you think there's going to be some altering of the way officials are trained where they may say...
I mean, hell, we've been doing this for decades. We just have an extra tool now. We have lots of video. We've always watched game film to the best of our ability. Now we have video. We have plays broken down. In baseball, we have the zone evaluation system that we can see about balls and strike. We welcome all that because at the end of the day, what do we want more than anything as an official? We want to get the play right.
Yeah, you want to make the right call. I totally get it.
That's our drug, if you will. That's what we're addicted to. We don't care who wins. We could care less. We want to get the play right.
I get it. Like I said, I'm just wondering if there's going to be more of a purity and more of a leaning on the technology if officials would have been told, not even in that case, but in general terms, if officials are told, if you're not sure, let the play go on. We can always go fix it. But once you whistle it down...
that way. I mean, sometimes you can officiate to the video because you know it's going to be reviewed. But by and large, we can't sort of throw our hands up and say, well, I'm not sure, let's wait for the video. We have to make a strong call, whatever that is, and then we go to the video. That hasn't changed.
All right, well, I'm with you on that. The one that I think is going to be the toughest to enforce if there is a progression in technology, and tell me if you disagree, is going to be that whole idea of the strike zone in baseball. And the reason for it, because I'm a baseball guy, if I'm an umpire and a catcher sets up outside for a slider and the pitcher paints the corner, or it may even be off the corner, you're going to get the strike. The same exact pitch, if I'm set up inside, is going to be called a ball. And come on, it's the same exact pitch.
Well, it's not the same exact pitch, but yeah, if you're talking about there's going to be some variation, there will be. I mean, I just saw a demonstration 3 weeks ago in New York, which once again shows clearly that what the viewer sees with the golden rectangle on the screen is not, in fact, accurate. It is not showing what the evaluation system is going to adjudge a correct ball or strike. It is not the same. It's incredible when you see it. It's not there yet.
So it's
all right, good theater, but I'm sorry, what you see on TV is a far cry from what in fact is real and what the grading of the umpires calling balls and strikes is based upon. Not the same.
You know what? This is really an educational process for me, Barry, and I'm really having a lot of fun. And I know I'm ignoring callers, but you know what? This week I don't care. Here's the last thing I really want to ask you, because I know that you got to break out for a conference that you're going to in just a couple of minutes, and we're winding down here. In general, how would you try to summarize the biggest issues that are facing officials, specifically at the youth and scholastic level of sports?
Well, it gets back to fan behavior. It's really the critical determinant of people going into youth officiating and staying in youth officiating. I think the expectations of the parents/fans has to be managed better. You know, you have parents coming out. This happens all the time. We hear this every week in our office. Parents come out there, and they're screaming at a youth football game, and what they're screaming about is based on NFL rules. It's not what we're playing. It's not even close to reality. So it seems to me that if you're going to be a parent/fan or a coach, that you have to have a fundamental understanding of the rules upon which this game is played. It's not the NFL. It's not Division I college football. It is something else. And I think we have to work very hard at getting that understanding into the governance structure and into the parents/fans that are there participating in youth sports.
So let me ask you this, because I think you're 100% accurate, and I coach a lot of different sports, and I personally will admit I get mixed up with the rules at the professional/college/youth level. As an official, what do you tell these guys? Because I'm sure they're biting their tongues in half because they want to turn around and say, "Hey, idiot, you don't know the rules, just shut up."
Yeah,
now, obviously, you don't teach them to do that, but what do you tell them to do?
One of the key principles in officiating is extraordinary restraint. You have to have extraordinary restraint to be an effective and a good sports official. There's no way around this. If you don't have that, then you shouldn't be in this business. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because ego would and I'm a big ego
course,
guy,
I'm that
right?
kind of guy. I felt like turning around and I'm flipping a guy off if I got so mad. You can't do it.
But not even mad. It's just about...
You know why? Because that's called pouring gasoline. That's a little kindling fire. And in this business, you can't pour gasoline on a situation.
No, you leave that to guys like me.
You just can't. You can't do it. You can't make. You're like a doctor. You know what? You're not hired to make things worse. You can't make things worse.
But how about the coaches? I mean, it's easier to just go to a coach on the sideline. Do you know of officials who will just say, "Hey, Tony, coach, listen, that's not the rule, so just lighten up"?
It happens all the time.
Okay.
And we're doing this all the time at the youth level. Really good officials are smooth about doing it. You're not there to show up a coach, but you drift on over there for some reason and you say, "Tony, that isn't the rule here."
Mm-hmm.
You're really, it's the NFL rule, and we're going to watch that tomorrow on Sunday on TV. You're right, buddy. But it's not here today. It's the wrong rule.
And I got to tell you, I have, specifically in basketball, where I'm a novice at best, there are a lot of times where I'll ask the question. I say, wasn't that a charge?
Again, in fairness to the officials, we're not there to give you a rules clinic, man. You're supposed to understand the rules.
But isn't it better than me yelling at you that you blew the call?
Training coaches.
But isn't it better than me yelling at you that you blew the call?
Well, that might be, but how much time are we going to take with you? How much TLC are you entitled to?
Hey, I'm not that smart. I need some education. Come on.
I've heard that, but that might be. The point is, what do we do with the other coach when he comes up? And he says, "Hey, you're a lot of TLC for Tony. How about me?"
Well, I got a radio show. That makes me different.
Okay, you see where this goes, though.
No, you know what?
We really have to manage that whole process. It's incumbent upon you as a coach to fundamentally know the rules and know the protocols. Now, we can help you a bit, but our job is not there to explain all the calls. Mm-hmm. We are not there to do that. We will not do that. You know what?
You're a one hard-nosed, tough SOB, but you know what? You're awesome. Barry, you are going to be a fixture on my show, guy. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed the time. I know you got to run.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, guys, that's going to put the kibosh on another quick hour of my life, but I do appreciate you listening in. For those of you who didn't get through on the lines, better luck next time. This was my show, and I had a lot of fun. So, hey, guys, listen, remember to dial in and listen in each week, each Sunday at 9 for Hey, Coach Tony. Have a good weekend, everybody.